It's a little rainy here, but we're welcoming the rain. We've been dry, and we've been praying for rain, and God has seen fit to send us some rain. Prayerfully, it will keep the fires down that in our neighborhoods so that we can live safely and not have to worry about dealing with disastrous fires. We pray that everything is going well in your area and with your family, and that your health is in good condition. We're in our last lesson in the book, In Preparation for Restoration, which reminds us that before we can go out into the world, we have to be prepared. We have to prepare ourselves inside to make sure that we are who we say we are, that we understand relationship building, because that's what personal work is about. It's about relationship building. And if God said if we don't know how to get along with our brothers, how should we be able to get along with others? And he said if we hate our brothers whom we see every day, how dwell the love of God in us? So we have to be able to demonstrate our faith among ourselves and then to the world. There's a saying that says charity begins at home and spreads abroad. And it's true. Love begins at home and then it spreads abroad. How does that happen? Every family member that leaves the house and engages in this world, they meet someone that they extend a hand of love towards them. And so love is taken from the house into the community, in which we find our friends, associates, and even our soulmates, as they would say, for life. Came from the house that we were taught how that we ought to love one another. So God's word teaches us the same thing, and thus he says it fulfills the law of Christ. So with looking at our lesson tonight, and that we are always striving in that preparation, making ready ourselves, not only to do the Lord's work, but to be ready when Jesus come back, when the Father of heaven cried, time no more, we would have done all that God has told us to do, and that it may please him, and that it be according to his will. Tonight, as we look at our lesson, we're going to pick up here on page 62. Page 62 in your book. Give everybody a minute to get there. Okay, everybody got the page? We can go ahead and get started here. The author starts out by saying here in lesson 12 that once we've done everything that God has instructed us to do, then heaven has an opportunity to respond to our conduct. If we have conducted ourselves well and God's purpose have come to be, in other words, that is leaving the 99 and finding that one that has gone astray. If we've been effective in doing that, then he says that heaven would rejoice over one sinner repentant than 99 just that need no repentance. And so that's the culmination of the work that we were striving to do, is to keep the saved and to save those that are lost from destruction. And so when we look at it, somebody get Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. It says it in the book. You can read it from the book. It just says that to everyone there is a season. To everything there is a season. A time for every purpose under heaven. And we can read the rest of that. Anybody got Ecclesiastes 3? Okay. And then somebody else get Matthew 5:14. Start at 3:1. There's a time unto all things. Okay, thanks, Jesse. So Solomon, he lays it out in the life of all of us. Opportunities, time affords us on all occasions as we may find ourselves in different situations and circumstances in life. Solomon declares to us, God understands these things. These are all things that happens under the sun. And that idea of being under the sun, we look at the sun to tell time. The sundial was the first watch created by humans to measure and follow the sun. And we knew that we had a 24-hour rotation of our planet. And so we were able to set time and follow time. And Solomon uses that concept to let us know that everything we do is controlled by time. It's proportionate to time. But these events will happen. Yes, Jesse. Yes, for the days are evil. And so we have opportunity to do just that, to look at those things that are not of God or being done according to the will of God, that we might be able to overcome and repair ourselves when we stumble and fall in situations and circumstances. God has given us a space of time to do those things so that we might be able to stand in his presence without spot or wrinkle or any such thing. But the Bible says God's will is that all men be saved. And so that is the will of us, that all men be saved. And according to 2 Corinthians 5, 18 to 21, it said that we have the office or the mandate of the ambassadors of reconciliation. It is on us to be reconciled. First, for us to reconcile ourselves to God, as Peter says, save yourself from this untoward generation. And after we have reconciled ourselves to God, then we need to work on helping others, pull others up as well. As Jude talked about those who had injured themselves and had fallen into the fire. He said that some have showed mercy to reach into that fire. He had their garments stained by the fire. The scent of smoke was on their garments. That they were just that, they were already actually descending into a hellish condition. But those that loved them was willing to brave the fires of hell to retrieve a soul. That's a powerful, powerful notion, that when you break that lesson down in Jude, you see that the saints of God was willing to breach the fires of hell in order to redeem their brothers and sisters from the hands of Satan. And so we know that we have that obligation to us. So now heaven rejoice. When you come out of a situation like that, it's time for rejoicing. So when we read Luke chapter 15, you see there's always some calamity going on. There's always some situations and circumstances in the text because it talks about people. It starts out talking about that prodigal son that took his family wealth and wasted it. Then it talks about the man that had the sheep, that lost his sheep, and what that flock meant to his livelihood. He left the 99 and went into the wilderness, hazarding his life in the wilderness to find that one sheep. And then it talks about the woman who had her money lost. And it's nothing worse in the world for a sister to lose her money, because she is not going to be happy until she regains her treasure. And so everybody, she's going to employ everybody to look for her treasures until they've been discovered. I know that sometimes my wife in past would have put her ring down, her wedding ring, and she say, oh, I know how much that thing costs, and I know what it meant to me. I want everybody looking for it. Everybody said, well, where were you at last? And she's trying to remember, and we're all looking. And then all of a sudden, she'll have left it in the kitchen, in one of the drawers in the kitchen, because she was washing dishes or cooking, and they took the ring off. And so, but then we're all rejoicing. We all feel a sense of relief, right? You feel that sense of relief that you've been able to recover. And so that's the idea when you to look at our brothers and our sisters. There's a sense of relief when we gain a brother and a sister who has been able to return. And so somebody go ahead and read that first paragraph there, the book of Ecclesiastes. Uh-huh. Yeah, read the statement. Uh-huh. Well, no, read the statement in the book of Ecclesiastes Solomon wrote. Nuh-uh. The statement from the book. Yeah, from my study. No, it says the first one in this book of Ecclesiastes, yeah. Planks. Who has that scripture?
Ye are the light of the world. A city that sit on a hill cannot be hidden.
That's a powerful statement. What it tells us is that God has constructed us in such a way that we illuminate. We are illuminators. We bring light into darkness. No one can approach us without coming into our light, because we have left the darkness and now we dwell in light. And so if we're that city on the hill that dwells in light, it's just like a lighthouse on the ocean. When we're sailing in stormy seas and you see that lighthouse, it gives you a sense that you're not far from shore. And that sense make you feel a little more comfort that if destruction befalls you in the sea, you could take up broken pieces and make your way to shore. You remember what happened to Paul there in Acts chapter 28 when he was on the boat, and he told the people, the captain of the boat, he said, don't go out to sea because there's going to be a storm out there. The Arachidon, the mighty storm is going to be out there, and it's known to break up ships. Well, the captain of the ship looked to the quartermaster and said, well, what do you think, quartermaster? And the quartermaster, but we sailed in seas worse than this before. Surely we can make it. Paul said, no, you're not going to make this here. So they rejected Paul for the experience of the quartermaster. The quartermaster is the one who has experienced over and over and over again and how to get through things. But if God says no matter how much experience we have, we should listen to God, shouldn't we? And that's the problem that happened in that lesson. They listened, they gave their attention to the quartermaster because he had experience in rough seas. They didn't know there was somebody who had greater mastery than he did. There was one who mastered the seas and said, peace be still. and the wind stopped, and the sea became calm, didn't it? And so when we find ourselves in that situation with people who have experience at things, and they say, well, we're going to go do this here, or you ought to do this here with us, you as a child of God should be able to stand up and say, especially when you see, you know that there's going to be some troublesome winds, what they call contrary winds, that we could avoid, and not go into those contrary winds. We ought to be the one to say, no, we're not going to go into those contrary winds. We're not going to go into the times of bring upon ourselves these troubles that we can avoid. If we can avoid it, wouldn't it be proper to avoid troubles? And so if we avoid them, then we can have a sense of comfort and assurity because we was able to avoid the temptation and the troubles that come. But if we give way to someone that say, well, I've been through this, I've done this, and don't worry about it, just go with me. But your heart tells you, and prayer to God, that this is not the way you ought to go. Then you ought to listen to God and not to that person. But because they listened to the person, the angel came to Paul and told Paul, said, Paul, God got you back. Now the ship's going to be lost. Say the ship's going to be lost, but all the lives in the ship, God going to say, all the cargo going to be lost. So when the sea started getting rough, they started throwing over the cargo. And after they threw the cargo over, the sea was still rough, so they looked at the prisoners and said, well, we're going to kill all the prisoners because we can't let them escape. So they were going from what? One bad situation to another. First of all, you came out here when you shouldn't have came out here, number one. Now you're out here, and you got to do things that you don't want to do because now you're losing all your resources, your money, all your treasures are being lost in sea in order trying to save yourself on this boat. Thirdly, now the angel came and told Paul, even the ship itself is going to be destroyed, but the lives will be saved. Now everybody's afraid. The centurion's afraid. Everybody's afraid. So Paul now has to step in. And now in the place of trauma and terror, they're willing to listen to Paul. When they could have listened to Paul in the first place, they'd avoided all of this. But no, they had to do it their way. And so as brothers and sisters in Christ, when we navigate through life, we're going to have all these seasons that come upon us. Seasons of troubles and trials going to come upon us. And we need to be able to navigate through those times. And the only way we can navigate is with the help of God. God is the one that will bring us through whatever we have to go through. So we have to closely rely on him. We have to be dependent upon him for all of our needs, for what he does for us. And so he helps us to understand when we're out there lost on the sea, there's no one else to help us but God. And if you remember the apostles, when they were out there on the sea, there were no other vessels out there to help them, was it? So what did they do? Anybody remember what they did? When Peter and John and Philip, all of them was out there on the boat, and they was on the boat 2 occasions. One, Jesus was on the boat with them, but he was sleeping. And so what did they decide to do when they saw Jesus sleeping? They woke him up. Master, we perish. And Jesus had already told them, I came to save lives, men's lives, not to destroy them. And so they asked Jesus, now you told us what you was here for, but don't you care about us? See, when we're afraid, sometimes we'll make a challenge to God that's really not proper. Do you think it was proper for them to ask God that after Jesus had told that he came to save men's lives and not to destroy them? But they're in a situation where they fear for their lives, and they go to Jesus, are you going to save our lives? Now, what would it look like for the Lord to take them out there and let them die? So the question then becomes, did they really trust him? Yes, Jesse. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so as brothers and sisters, we have to be willing to let God intervene. What do they call it today when we have people that intervene and with people who having problems in their lives? Interventions. Have you ever seen a situation where they needed an intervention? somebody to step in, because the situation had gotten so bad that this person is totally in need of the help of another, because they cannot help themselves. They've gotten themselves into something so deep that they're trapped. Like Jesus was saying, and the apostle was saying, they've been snared by the devil, and they can't get out of the trap. I remember one of the scenes on YouTube, this man had made a trap over the snake hole. And when I don't know if y'all seen it, the snake come out and go through the little string, and the little stick falls away. Now the strings around the snake, he can't get out the hole. Every time he tries to go out there, the string gets tighter. He's snared. He can't get away. And so he go back down in the hole, but now that little string rope is around him when he go back in the hole. And then when he try to come out again, he still can't get out. So when they find holes where there's like vipers, and they find holes with the pythons, and where they find holes where the not scorpions, but the poisonous snakes were, they would put these little traps there, so that when the creature come out, he would get trapped there, and they don't suffer any harm from those creatures biting them and attacking them. And I said, now that's pretty smart, that they could make these little traps. So that's what the devil does. He sets traps for us, so that he might snare us in the trap. And that's why we have the ministry of reconciliation, to help people get themselves out of that trap, so that they could come back to God. God gives us the knowledge to free them from the traps of sin. And those traps are forever all around us, aren't they? And so when we look at our lesson tonight, and he lays it down, the mission of the church. And that's what we studied on Sunday, right? That book we're in Sunday is called The Mission of the Church. And so here he said the mission of the church is to save, is soul winning for Christ. We have a mission. And what does it mean to have a mission, church? And what does it mean to have a mission? Yeah. So you have a purpose. What else do you have? Yes, you have a goal and a purpose. And what else do you have when you have a mission? Whenever you have a mission or a goal, you also have what they call a statement of how to accomplish that goal. And the military, we call that enabling objectives. Remember that, Brother Glenn? Enabling objectives. The thing that enables us to do it and be successful at it. It's like when we think today of on-the-job training or going to a trade school for a skill. We go there and we pick out the skill that we're trying to master. And we find the person who has mastered that skill, and now they're training us to be masters. So that with that skill, we can step out and we can do the same thing. And the mission that we have, the mission can be accomplished, but the mission cannot be accomplished if we have not prepared ourselves to do that kind of work. And there's nothing more frustrating than to deal with someone who say they can, but they can't. You know, I've had situations with guys who claim they were good mechanics, and I would take my vehicle to them, and it would run worse. It would run worse than what they before they got it. And I'm like, I thought you said you was a mechanic. Well, see, I don't work on all these new cars like that. They can work on things from 1970 and back, but everything that got sensors and all that in there, they don't know, but they done told you they could. And they got your car most likely. They got some of your money too. And now, if you get your car back, you got a broken car and all that, because why? People couldn't come through because they were not as skilled as they claimed to be. And so when God said he equips us for the work of the ministry, we have to know that everything we need to have, God will provide. Isn't that what he's telling, Paul is telling Timothy there in 1 Timothy 3:17, that the man of God may be thoroughly furnished. What does it mean, be thoroughly furnished? Yep, equipped. And yep, for the good work. What might a good work look like, church? Huh? Yeah, you might have a soup kitchen and feeding. Yeah, you may have a study class going on. Like Hilltop, they have like a noonday study. You know, some have evening studies. You may have a program that help people with certain women who need daycare but can't afford it, but because you have retired and you partner with other retired people of like minds to bring a value to those young struggling mothers so that they can work and take care of their families. These are good works. You remember Dorcas in the book of Acts. Anybody remember who Dorcas was in the book of Acts? Jesse. Let everybody else, because you know the answer. I'm trying to get everybody else involved. And do you remember who Dorcas was? Yeah, she made coats. Yeah, she made coats for the poor. And she died. And because her work was so needed and so appreciated, they went for Peter. And Peter, through the mercy of God, she was brought back to life again because of the work that she was doing. And so these are the gifts that God gives us to use. And even Romans tells us that we have gifts, that God has given us spiritual gifts to use these spiritual gifts for the work of the ministry. And so, Sister Sykes, if you could find that scripture for me, it's in Romans. The gifts, if you the gift of ministry. Let me see if I can find it. Because Romans tells us that with these gifts God give us, we have a job to minister and to use these gifts that God gives. I met people who also told me, say, I find out if you don't use those gifts, God take it from you. Because we had people who could really sing, but for some reason, they wouldn't use the gift. And then after people kept, encouraging them, I remember how you sang, I remember how you did this, and by and by, guess what? They've lost their talent. Why? Because they didn't use it. And see, somebody used a corner phrase, say, use it or what? Lose it. Do y'all believe that if you don't use what God has blessed you with, that you could lose it? Yeah, because that's what happened to the man with the coin. That he supposed to went out and prospered for his master. He didn't do it, and he lost it. Okay, let's see if we can find it. A gift of ministry. Did it do that? Okay, we'll find it. Yeah, I think so. Let's go to Romans 12. Romans 12, yeah, starting at verse 5. Somebody get the Romans 12, starting at verse 5. We're going to read all the way down to verse 12. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Teaching. He that exhorted on exhortation. He that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. That ruleth diligence. Show mercy. Truthfulness. Discrimination. Love, and preferring one another, not slothful. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. That's good right there. That's good right there. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving who? The Lord. God gives us these gifts in order that we might serve Him. So it's all to His pleasure that these gifts are given. And so when He says that we are one body, all of us make up one body. Any member missing from the body causes the body to become somewhat deformed because a part of the body is not there. If we make up the body and there's a member that's missing that makes up on my right hand, he makes up the first three fingers of my right hand. All I got is the two small fingers. I'm going to have some kind of impairity. Am I not? I'm going to be impaired in some kind of way. Without having the other three fingers, only having two fingers, I'm going to have some kind of impairment that I won't be as efficient as a person who have all their members. So that's why the Bible said that we all, as one body, have to function as one body and doing these services or ministries together. Somebody here, he says that in this body will be able to explain the mind of God according to that portion of faith they're given. Somebody will be able to minister in ministry to others. Like believers said, maybe a ministry in a clothes closet, a soup kitchen, a daycare, ministry, and doing other things and helping folks, to learn how to use the equipment of this world, technology of this world, to help folk to improve their lives. So these are all the different ministries. And then certainly with others, teaching people the way of God, going out and to the evangelistic fields of God and telling folks about who? King Jesus. So these are gifts that we have from God. And do you think we're using these gifts effectively today, church? Yeah. And of these gifts, which one do you think might reflect you, that God has given you an ability in one of these gifts? Would anybody have a gift of teaching? Yeah, Sister Saxon, she has a gift of teaching. Anybody else? Doc, you've been teaching, haven't you? So you got the gift for teaching. Annie? And you taught classes too, didn't you? Those kids right there? Okay, so you have that gift to teach others. Also, exhortation. Everybody know what exhortation is? What is Yeah. Have anybody had to build somebody up that was feeling down and depressed? That's a gift. That is a gift from God to be able to do it effectively, to make a difference in the life of people. And so with these gifts, we need to put them to work, because if we don't use them, like Andy said, we'll lose it. So we need to say, okay, well, who was that? One of the prophets, I can't say his name now. Not Elijah, before him. But he said, when God was calling him as a child, Yeah, he was a child, and God kept calling him, and he said, here I am. But he thought he was hearing the voice of the old prophet, but it was God whispering to him. And then God called him. He said, here I am. And then after God called him again, he said, here I am, send me. Send me, Lord. Because what? He felt that if God was with him and the gift that God had gave him, he could go and do what God wanted him to do. I think that's why Jesus was 12 years old, right? When he told his parents, when he got left behind in Jerusalem. Anybody remember that story? He was 12. And when his parents found him, you remember what he told his parents when they found him? He said, I got, and isn't that something that a 12-year-old can do something? Now, if a 12-year-old could do something, what about us grown-ups? We should be able to do stuff too there, right? We should be more proficient than the children. Yeah. So and so what Solomon says, there's a time unto all things. Hey there, Leroy and Brenda. When there's a time unto all things, we should be able to make a difference. Yes, Annie. Oh, I thought you had your hand up. We should be able to make a difference, because Solomon said there's a time unto all things. And when we find our season, if you will, that's what the secular world uses that phrase, your season. When you're in your season, when you know that you have matured, that's your season. You're ready. You're ready to do what God has called upon you to do. You're ready now to be that example, that light, that city that sits on a hill, because you're going to attract attention. And when you attract that attention, you know how to handle that level of fame or that level of notoriety that comes your way. You know how to be humble and graceful. You know how not to come across as being willful or arrogant, because this is the gift that God has given us. And so with these wonderful gifts that Paul tells us here in Romans that comes through the Spirit of God, then we are position ourselves in a very, very good place to be able to exhort, even to those that give. You know, he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. As a giver, what might a giver look like? Because all givers is not altogether just giving money into the church collection. A giver might get. Remember, I said we have three things. What are the three T's that we have, church? Anybody can remember the three T's? Yeah, talent, time. Talent, time. Anybody want to help with the last one? We have three T's. God gives us all time. He gives us all talent, and He gives us treasures. That's it. So in giving, we might give from either one, any of these coffers that God has given us. If I have more, as Benita Dad used to say, if I have more time than I have money, then I could use my time to make a difference in the lives of others. There are people that just want your presence. Just you being there means something to them. Just the fact that you pick up a phone and say, hello, how you doing, means something to them. So we can use our talents, but if we don't use our talents, then we start feeling later on that we're inadequate to do anything. And that's not because of God, that's because of us. Because God strengthened us as we go. And then He also says, those that rule, those who have leadership responsibility, those who have leadership skills, ought to put those things to work for the glory of God's kingdom, and be diligent at it. What does it mean to be diligent? Anybody, what does it mean to be diligent? Yeah, carries the idea of being a go-getter, being diligent, being faithful, being committed to the task that you have been assigned, the duties, doing your duty to God as a good soldier, as Paul told Timothy, as a good soldier of the Lord. Then we'll do our duty that God has called us to. Those things are important. He said then, not only doing that diligently, he said, but he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. So mercy and love go together. There is a text in the Old Testament that says mercy and love met and kissed. See if you can find that for Benita, mercy and love, where they kiss. I liked it that when I was reading that. I think I was in the Psalm somewhere. I'm at that age now. I can still remember scriptures, phrases, but I can't remember the numbers all the time. And I'm gonna have to start taking something because I'm forgetting more than I used to know. But I thank God that He has mercy and love. The grace and mercy kiss, one of them. If you do grace and mercy kiss or grace and mercy and love kiss, one of them. But that's what we do. So it said, do it cheerfully. You know, it's always pleasant to work with a person that has a cheerful disposition about them. Can anybody describe what a cheerful disposition might look like? When you're working with someone that has a cheerful disposition about them? Is that the person that has the Barnabas? They have the Barnabas thing going on. But Barnabas was called the son of consolation, and reason he was called the son of consolation because Barnabas, he knew how to encourage, and so there are people that know how to encourage us, whether we be at home, whether we be at the Lord's house, or whether we be on the job. I've had people who have encouraged me. Especially sometime when I was like new to a position and I was struggling trying to adjust to become proficient at it, but some of the things just wasn't lining up the way I needed it to line up to be successful. And then someone would come along and say, "Now you're doing okay. Don't give up. You know, you're not where everybody else at. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you start at the same time somebody else started, but they're so good at it they move out ahead of you." And you kind of looking at them, trying to do what you need to do because you want to catch up with them, instead of really giving the kind of focus to what you're doing so you can really understand the task that you've been assigned to. I've been there. I wanted to do the thing quick and catch up with the other people, because why? I didn't want to be left behind. And instead of understanding what they were looking for was proficiency, they wanted me to do it right, because if I failed to do it right, it was going to cost them something. I would be wasting their material that should be turned into something that could become profitable for the company. Anybody ever experienced that before? Use up all the ink in the office. Wait a minute, I know we normally don't buy this amount of ink. Who using up all the ink? Somebody printing out stuff that didn't coming out right, they didn't set the font right and all this kind of stuff, because they're learning. And they're using more material than others would use. And so you don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that's able to do the job as proficiently as anyone else. But like Solomon said, there's a time. There's a time to all things. And as Christians, we have to fit ourselves into that time. And when our time comes, we rejoice. Because now, I guarantee some people that have been on their job 10, 15 years, their work is seamless. They just go in and just do it. They don't even have Andy, do you give a real deep second thought about what you're doing anymore? You just know it. I know you know what you got to do. And you just go in there. Other people say, well, how did you know to do this? How did you know to do that? I've learned. I've been here long enough to learn. I've been trying to do that. That's hard. Well, keep practicing. See, you have practice. They want what you have without making the sacrifice that you made to get there. And I worked in places where it used to make me a little upset that they would bring in a total novice and say, we want you to train this person, and when you train him, we're going to make him your supervisor. And I'm like, what? I'm the one with the skills, but you're going to put this person over me. But that's how the world works at us. They don't respect what we have. But God respects that. God will allow us to get out there and use our time and our talent. Because when I got here, one of the most negative things about the Church of Christ in the area was that, especially among African American women, they wanted to be active. They wanted to be active in their faith. And they would charge us, now I don't want to be a member of the Church of Christ because y'all sisters are not active. We can be active in our faith. Y'all sisters can't do nothing. And then when y'all started doing the Labor Day and they seen that all these women was coming, they began to change their view. Why? Because you was, okay, I'll find it later. Because now you're demonstrating and they can see you actually doing this thing, and you're doing it in a way that's going to empower people, giving these people abilities, and giving them courage to do something that they haven't done before. And as a brother, I really enjoyed standing back, seeing how the sisters work, because when y'all did, you didn't just look at the older sisters, say only the older sisters can do it. Y'all had young and the old working. See, and that's the ministry that Titus talk about. When you can take the old and the young and put them to work and be that city out there, y'all was out in the community where y'all could be seen, and y'all made a difference. Y'all gave Carolina Avenue status before we didn't have that status. But now we have that status of that we're known because of the activities that you guys was able to carry out in the community. And I still get questions from people, when the next thing y'all gonna have y'all ladies program? I'm like, we ain't had a lady program since COVID, but they haven't forgotten. Why do you think they haven't forgotten, church? Why y'all think they haven't forgotten the work y'all done? That's it. See, you was able to demonstrate all those things. You was able to show these people a kind of love, a kind of warmth, a kind of welcoming that they didn't experience in other places. And critically, on this note, you guys bear the burden to engage these folks. Where do you go and you get gifts? Who does that? Y'all did. Yeah, and then on top of that, y'all shared a meal with them. Who did that? And then y'all had guest speakers. And then charged the community a dime. And I said, do the sisters really know how big a deal that thing is? That is a huge deal when you could do it, because everybody else do it. They want to make money at it. They want all the clout to come to a particular person among them. But you sisters, y'all shared everything. Y'all was able to pull it off. And that gave us great status. And that's why I look forward to in the future that y'all could rekindle that. And that's the challenge, to restore, to bring back that which was lost. If y'all can do it effectively, we're going to be blessed. But we're going to stop right here, and we'll go into waiting for the lost to come home on next week. A couple of announcements here is Father's Day is next Sunday, and we're looking forward to the Father's Day breakfast. This Sunday. Okay. This Sunday. And then, Lady Day. Oh, there's a Lady Day this Saturday. They're going to leave at 6:30. What is that? Oh, so it's just right down the road. It's not too bad. Yeah, just go down to Arcadia all the time, so it's not too bad a drive. Forest also is having their fish fry on the 28th. And they want to know if y'all will come and bring a covered dish. A fellowship on the 28th. And then also on the 29th, the Boys and Girls Club is having their march against gun violence. And they're asking churches to see if their members will participate in it. And I thought of the Nelson family, because y'all had gun violence in your family. Maybe be able to tell those folks, how did y'all get through it? How are y'all managing it? Because they supposed to have some kind of symposium there that they may want to recognize the families who have gone through, who have found a way to cope and deal with it, and to say something to other people who just still broken up. So and they really want the community involvement. So if you and they got stuff they're gonna have a little snack for the kids. Mr. Tyson, the police guy, they're gonna provide the hot dogs and chips and all that stuff. And the old school, yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, the old school guys, they're going to provide the drinks and stuff. And like I said, they're going to have a lot of activity there for kids, but they really want to talk to adults in the community about safety and this kind of thing, being aware of your environment, because all the things that are going on. We had this meeting before the thing happened in y'all neighborhood over there. That was so ironic. We had that meeting that Friday, Jesse, and then Sunday came over at Brother Robert's house. They had gun violence. And I'm like, look at this. Isn't this amazing that this stuff is, soon you talk about it, somebody out here doing it. So we need the community to come together and say that, we don't want this in our community. And if we demonstrate it before those who have influence, those who have the responsibility to govern our neighborhoods, we can insist upon them that they do better. They can do better in helping us to live more safely than what we've been living. Because the people on the north side is what they consider the north side across Main Street. That would be north side. How do they do that? This is the south side. What is the north side? Go across Main Street. Now on Main Street side, they don't have all of this. And I said, if they can manage without it, they can manage over here without it. You may have to put a little more resources over here to get us where we need to be. But we ought to feel safe coming to our church. We ought to feel safe being in our home, don't you think? Yes. Well, okay. Tomorrow night at 5:30, Brother Gerald's going to be meeting with the chamber at 5:30. He needs all the support he can get because they want to talk about our area over here, helping us get the lights and all that stuff put in here. But he said you have to have concerned citizens that come. So we need everybody's support. If y'all will come and somebody you don't see here, let them know, be there at 5:30 because them folks are there. If they see numbers, they respond. But if nobody come, then they kind of like blow you off. They say, you talking for yourself, because nobody else concerned about it. Why should we be concerned about it? And we complain and complain and complain. That's why I found it now. They revealed to us that they had over $1 million worth of money they had to spend. And so me and Jerry said, well, why isn't that money coming to the south side? We got people walking in the road, all kinds of stuff, and now I see they putting down sidewalks. Now I said, you got all this money piled up here, but never using it to help us do nothing. Huh? What's the other one? Oh yeah. Benita and Gwen want to get with all the sisters to prepare for Father's Day on Sunday, not next Sunday, but this Sunday. I gotta get rid of that. So Willie, you gotta make sure you're here. Brenda, I wish that you and Leroy could be here so Leroy can celebrate with us as a father and get to eat all of Annie and Doc's good cooking. Well, you're good cooking too, because they're gonna put you in the kitchen too. You know that, don't you? So we wish y'all was here with us. So I know somewhere in the future y'all will be making a plan to come down. But at this time we want to open up. Yeah. At this time we open up to prayer requests. Anybody have prayers? Yes, Doc. Amen. Okay. Family too? Oh, okay. Yes, Jesse. All right. Who family? Huh? Oh, the Nelson. Okay. And yeah, keep praying for Benita, because they're supposed to be doing stuff for her feet, but they haven't done it yet, and she's got to get that what's it called, a consult from the primary doctor to the specialty clinic for them to do anything. And I'm like, wow, seems like she can just go where she need to go, but they said, now you have to go through your primary. So hopefully her primary doctor will do something to get her the care that she needs. And just to say, we want to pray for all of our sick and shut in, especially for Sister Bird. I don't think you ever get over that kind of trauma being shot at, and I don't think y'all get over it either, and because y'all were so close to it, you can always think about it. Yes. Okay, so they head back to Vegas, huh? So yeah, we'll keep them in prayer. So if there isn't any other announcements, Brother Glenn, you can pray us out. Yes, Father.